Actor Johnny Depp has played many roles in his career, but this week in Fairfax County, Virginia, he began a brand new one. Plaintiff in a civil lawsuit against his ex-wife, Amber Heard. Johnny and Amber were married in 2015, and by early 2017, they were officially divorced. But in 2018, Amber wrote an op-ed where she talked about being a survivor of domestic abuse, something Johnny says is a malicious lie. So he sued Amber for defamation. And as we get ready for week 2 of the trial, there is a strong possibility Depp will take the stand next week in Fairfax County.
Oh, no, I didn't. What the are you talking about? And I watched you lie, and then I
didn't punch you.
punched me.
Meanwhile, Johnny has accused Amber Heard of seeing the world's richest man, Elon Musk, just 1 month into their marriage when Johnny was out of town. And Elon Musk is on the witness list. Tonight, we take a closer look at what's in store as we continue our in-depth coverage of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thanks so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to be back here at the mothership. It was great to be out in Fairfax, Virginia for our coverage of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. I want to start tonight by talking about celebrities. You know what? We love celebrities. As a nation, as a community, we just love celebrities. You know, you spot one, you're like, guess who I saw today, right? Everybody wants to take the selfie. If you see a celebrity, you want to take the picture. There's a fascination, and I think most of us fall for that. I remember on my honeymoon, we stopped in Hollywood for a couple days on the way back, and my wife and I, we had a little competition. Who could spot the most celebrities? It was exciting. I won, of course, because I spotted George Hamilton at the Ivy with his full tan. And honestly, it was kind of cool. It was kind of neat. We didn't have cell phones back then, so I didn't get a picture, but there's an obsession that we have. You know who else loves celebrities? Jurors. I've covered celebrity trials. Like, ask O.J. Simpson, ask Michael Jackson, right? We can't ask Michael Jackson anymore. But his trial, not guilty. O.J. Simpson, not guilty. There's an absolute celebrity factor. And you don't even have to be a huge celebrity. And you don't even have to testify. You don't even have to testify. The O.J. Simpson didn't testify. Michael Jackson didn't testify. But you had Jason Williams, who was a basketball player, who was a bit of a celebrity, $90 million contract. I remember jurors just kind of fawning over him. It's amazing the impact that celebrity has in our society. So now let's take it back to Fairfax, Virginia. Johnny Depp on trial. He's the plaintiff suing Amber Heard. He's played a lot of characters in his career and a lot of lovable characters. Captain Jack Sparrow, I mean, legendary character, right? And for us, we often get our impressions of celebrities by the roles that they play. You know, that's how you kind of get to know them to a certain extent. That's how you become a fan. And for Johnny Depp, so many memorable, lovable characters, quirky characters, Willy Wonka, Edward Scissorhands. This is a guy who, in his life as a celebrity, I think has gained a lot of popularity because of those roles and who he's played and how he has portrayed himself publicly. But now he's in a courtroom. And the question is, what will unscripted Johnny Depp be like when it's time for him to testify? Will the jury love him as much as they love Willy Wonka? Because that's what he needs. It's about credibility, it's about being liked, it's about being believed. It's him versus his ex, and 7 strangers will make that determination. And the issue really is, you know, how much of an impact will him being Johnny Depp have on that jury versus Amber Heard being who she is? Now, Johnny Depp, we understand, is going to testify at some point during this trial. Chanley Painter will have a little more information on that coming up. But I wanted to let you listen to a little bit of Johnny Depp in a couple of situations here with Amber Heard, because they are the two people who are battling out in the courtroom Their prior battles, though, were done behind closed doors, but some of it was recorded. Let's take a listen to this exchange between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
I'm not going to be in a physical altercation with you.
Then don't.
You hit me last night, you
What about all the other times you split? Come on, you cannot act like that's about that. It's not.
Well, on a plane, I can't split.
No, and you hit back, so don't act like you don't participate.
I pushed you.
I'm not going to get into the details of that fight. You and I both know that you split when there is no physical violence involved. And that you do it like at the very beginning of fights these days. And if you split and you go into a different room and you don't actually leave that house, it does nothing but perpetuate the fight. And you don't actually do it respectfully. You don't do it in a way that actually means we won't fight. It always makes more fights. It always makes them longer. It never, ever makes you calmer. You never come out going, I want to talk, or I'm okay, or it's going to be okay. And I am I'm sick and tired 100% of being the only one that goes and fights for it. You know what that does? It demoralizes the half of this relationship that is me. It demeans me, demoralizes me.
Really?
Yes, really. Really, when you split on me, how do you feel when I leave you?
When I split, when I go into the other room, you say.
You leave you get another room, you get a flight, things like that. And you asked me not to in Australia, and ever since then,
how many?
I don't know, I have to count them up.
No, because I haven't left you in the house, maybe twice. Last night and another time.
No, you've done it before. I've come here before. I'm not doing that anymore.
Well, yeah, you've come here before. Last time and another time, and then last night.
You've done this several times, and getting me a room. I mean, getting another room at a hotel is just the same thing.
There you hear Johnny Depp, very much under control in that exchange. I want to show you some video now, recorded again by Amber Heard. Johnny Depp, not so much under control. Let's watch.
What happened? What happened? Nothing happened this morning, you know that?
Were you in here?
No.
So then nothing happened to you this morning?
Yeah, you're right. I just woke up and you were so sweet and nice. We were not even fighting this morning. All I did was say sorry.
Did something happen to you this morning? I don't think so.
No, that's the thing.
You want to see crazy? I'll give you. Oh, you're crazy. Are you crazy?
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
Oh, you got this going?
Just started it.
Oh, really? Really?
Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, joining us live tonight from Fairfax County, Virginia. Great to see you, Chanley. It looks like a little windy, a little chillier than when I was there. That's okay.
Yeah, we miss you out here, Vinny.
Absolutely. So give us the news now. Johnny Depp, when do we expect him to testify, take the stand in his case?
Well, our sources are telling us there is a strong possibility that he will be on the stand at some point next week in his case. That's huge news. He's the star witness for his own case, of course, as you know, Vinny. Really, the first-hand account that he's going to walk this jury through what he calls alleged abuse by his former spouse, Amber Heard. And I've read, of course, through this court file, hundreds of documents. There's actually a sworn declaration within this document that is 19 pages long, Vinny, that he personally typed or had help typing that really tells his story. And if his testimony reflects what is in this court document, it's going to be very detailed and graphic, intimate in their relationship. And again, he's going to have to really connect with this jury. It's going to be something we must tune in and watch every moment.
How long is he expected to be on the stand? I know it's difficult to predict, but sometimes witnesses are on and off in a day. Sometimes they're on for a month, like Jodi Arias. Any sort of feel for how long he'll be on the witness stand?
Well, given that some of the previous witnesses for him, like his sister or his best friend, took most of the day, his sister was on the stand for 2 days, you would think that Johnny Depp being his case, that they would actually take their time. So he could be on the stand for more than 1 day. We could anticipate, but again, we don't know for sure. And we also need to anticipate a cross-examination, Vinnie, from Amber Heard's team, which could also take a while for them to go through. There's a lot of evidence, not only the testimony, Vinnie, that we must think about, but also the maybe impeachment evidence. They want to cross him on text messages or emails or the videos that you showed or any other pieces of evidence that could take a while. So again, we are expecting him on the stand next week and likely to culminate his case in chief, because he should be the strongest witness for himself.
This is, it's going to be a very tense moment. It's the biggest moment. I think that's what this trial is all about, him telling his story publicly to try to get his name back from his perspective. Chanley at the courthouse. Let's bring in our other guests that are joining us tonight from Woodlands, California. Trial and celebrity attorney Chris Melcher is with us, also from Los Angeles, California, joining us by phone. Senior editor for Deadline Hollywood, Dominic Patton, is with us. Also from LA, California, forensic psychiatrist, trial expert witness, and columnist Dr. Carol Lieberman. Welcome to everyone. Dominic, I want to start with you. Thanks so much for joining us. What is Johnny Depp? Who is Johnny Depp in Hollywood? What's that reputation? Is this a down-to-earth guy who will be relatable inside a courtroom? Is he more aloof? What's your take on who Johnny Depp is?
I think Johnny Depp is an illusion now, my friend. I think Johnny Depp is one of those people who's been famous for so long. He, in fact, has become, and we've seen this in profiles of him and the way he depicts himself. In fact, just in that video you showed earlier, he's become a caricature. He's sort of a mini Keith Richards, which is something he idolizes and wants to be. Obviously, he also has a side career as a guitar player with Alice Cooper and the Hollywood Vampires. I think he's hoping that he'll come across as just a regular boy from Kentucky. I think they hope that his sister's testimony this week was something that could play to that, and obviously talking about the death of his mother and events like that in his life and the way they were entwined and weaved throughout his relationship with Amber Heard, their short marriage. I'm not too sure that'll be very successful. I think that they have a lot to prove here. Remember, he was the one who began this by suing Amber Heard back in March 2019 for $50 million over that Washington Post op-ed where she never mentioned him but did talk about domestic violence. He has a pretty high burden to meet here. And there's always the specter, and I believe you have spoken about this before, the jurors haven't really heard about this yet, but in ways the Amber Heard's team are trying to get it in. There's, of course, the UK libel suit that he lost when Rupert Murdoch's tabloid The Sun referred to him as a wife-beater. The judge in the British case was very damning about Depp, talked about a lot of evidence to prove these remarks. That was a very hard case for him. In many ways, Heard's team want to see a repeat of that, and they're hoping in some ways that Johnny might help provide that when he takes the stand this week.
It's going to be the moment for the trial. I mean, this is his opportunity if he wants to win, if he wants to get his reputation, his name back. Chris Melcher, you represent celebrities, so when you're in court with a celebrity, you know, it's kind of normal for you. For the rest of us, it's just different. I've covered hundreds of trials. It's just different when there's a celebrity in the room, let alone a celebrity on the witness stand. What do you think the impact will be of Johnny Depp on the stand as Johnny Depp telling his story?
Well, like you said at the beginning, Vinny, it's a big deal to have a celebrity in the courtroom. And I like how they're giving him time to acclimate to that setting, because as an actor, he really needs to understand like who the judge is, who is this jury, and how are they kind of acclimating to them, kind of nonverbal communication, almost just sitting there in the courtroom. building that suspense here, listening to all these other witnesses testify while he's just there, knowing that he's then going to take the stand. So I like how they did that rather than leading with him as what they would think is his strongest witness, to build that suspense in the jury's mind and also to let him acclimate so he can feel comfortable enough, because he is playing a role here. And he's observing everything like a good actor would do, and his name is on the line. So it's a big deal for the jury. It's a big deal for him.
Dr. Carol Lieberman, I started off talking about our obsession with celebrities. Why is that? And do you think they get a head start inside the courtroom? Right? You start with a presumption that, hey, I want to like this guy because, you know, it's Johnny Depp.
Yes, I think that does definitely give him an edge, or give celebrities an edge. We have seen that over the years. People don't want the image to be tarnished. You know, they want to believe that the person is who they've always thought they are. But, you know, it's so interesting because it's not like this is a criminal case. He is not being on trial for doing any kind of criminal behavior. He brought this case. It's a civil case, and he brought it. And he didn't need to bring it. He doesn't need the $50 million. He's doing it to clear his name. I mean, it's so important to him, you know, to not have his name be tarnished like that, especially given the fact that he grew up with a mother who was a child beater and a husband beater. So I think that should mean a lot.
I want to show everyone at home, there was a moment when I was in the courtroom in Fairfax when Johnny Depp was leaving at the end of the day, and there's a gallery full of fans, and he turned at the end of the day and waved to them. If we could show that. So this is the end of the day, and there's Johnny in his three-piece suit, and he's getting ready to leave. The gallery's full. I would say 2/3 of the gallery that's not connected to the case, or 4/5 that's not connected to the case, all there to see Johnny Depp. Watch as he turns and waves. All those hands going up inside that courtroom. Dominic Patton, this is like a home match for Johnny Depp in Fairfax, Virginia, because everyone we speak to down there that shows up from the public is there to support Johnny Depp.
Well, I mean, Johnny has long said, you know, that he has, and I'm quoting him, an army behind him. And we've seen this, and I certainly see it, and I'm sure others do. Whenever I write about this case, as I have been for several years, a plethora of emails coming. But I think they need to be very careful with this. You know, the judge here, and the judge in this case is a former Marine, so she's not taking any crap from anyone. She has said no autographs to fans, no interaction with fans. They're both Amber Heard and Johnny Depp are being brought in by side doors, et cetera, et cetera. So that kind of stuff, like what we just saw in that video, that kind of stuff that rubs her, I think, the wrong way. And again, I think that, and no disrespect to Chris, I don't think they're reading the room very well. I don't think the kind of suits that Johnny is showing up in will make him look like a regular guy. I think a haircut or two might have been useful. I also think, too, they're not showing him as someone who's in control. Look at Amber. Amber is coming with her hair tied back, very conservative outfit, wearing her glasses, poised, watching what's going on. It's a real contradiction. Now, maybe I'm reading too much into the body language. Maybe I'm seeing arrogance where there's just simply obedience. But I don't think that Johnny is going to be as strong a witness for himself as he thinks. I think there's an arrogance that they think that that's going to win everyone over, and that's exactly what they thought in the UK libel trial, and that was very unsuccessful for him.
Dominic Patton, senior editor, Deadline Hollywood. Appreciate your time tonight. I know you're always busy, especially on a Friday night, so thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Chris Melcher, Dr. Carol Lieberman staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about that trial that Dominic mentioned over in the UK. Johnny Depp testified at that trial. What was it like inside the courtroom? Well, of course, I'm going to bring on a guest who was there for all of it. Nick Wallace will join us live from Fairfax next.
officially licensed everything.
That is over in the UK. The last time Johnny Depp was on trial, he sued The Sun, claiming that their statement that he was a wife beater was libelous. He lost, but that case was not in front of a jury. It was in front of one judge. So one person made the decision that Johnny Depp was, in fact, a wife beater, or more likely than not that he was a wife beater. So he lost that case. He's got another one. This one is not against The Sun. It's not against the Washington Post, but it's directly against his ex, Amber Heard. So I said a judge made the decision. I have a little piece of the judge's decision from that case I want to read to you from the opinion. In his trial witness statement, Mr. Depp agreed that there had been an argument at which both Ms. Heard and her sister were present. This was around the 22nd of March, 2015. He denied that he was violent to either of them. He said that Ms. Heard threw a can of Red Bull at him, which struck him in the back. Ms. Heard also managed to punch him, which left him with visible swelling and injury. In cross-examination, Mr. Depp denied that he had been responsible for the damage in Penthouse 5 that could be seen in the photos. He suggested that these were part of the dossier which Ms. Heard was collecting as her, quote, insurance policy. So that was the judge summarizing some of Johnny Depp's testimony from the UK, but as I said, not successful. Didn't convince the judge. We were going to bring in Nick Wallace. We have a little technical difficulty getting Nick Wallace in, but we still have with us, of course, Chris Melcher, celebrity attorney out in California, and Dr. Carol Lieberman with us. Chris, let me tell you, to me, there's a big difference. Johnny Depp testifying in front of a judge, probably wearing a wig, I'm not sure, over in the UK, versus, 7 citizens from Fairfax County, Virginia. I think it's a big difference, a much different dynamic.
Well, it is a much different dynamic. I mean, lawyers and judges are used to analyzing things kind of sterilely, that we look at elements.
We're jaded, aren't we? Aren't we just jaded?
Well, yeah, we're jaded. And I think that, the jury in our country is this system of justice that helps equalize things and cuts across things. So he does have an advantage, I think, with a jury rather than a judge. Also, in England, Amber was not a party. So she was called as a witness, but here she's a party. And there's a lot more latitude that Johnny has in this case because she's a party. So I think, and he's able to develop more evidence in this case than he was previously.
Dr. Carol Lieberman, something else that will take place that'll be a little different because she's a party, she's there. So she'll be in the courtroom. So as Johnny is testifying about her, the jury can not only observe Johnny Depp, but will observe her reactions as well. To me, this is so different. And because ultimately, I think it comes down to who does the jury like and believe? Is it her or is it him?
Well, as you were saying, she has been coming into court, looking like prim and proper and angelic, but at the same time you catch her in with certain expressions and she looks kind of smug and like, above it all. So there's that. And I agree that maybe Johnny should have had a little bit more of a little bit more conservative kind of hair and mustache, but that's not him. It's not how he usually looks. But the case in the UK, I think, is somewhat of an anomaly because really, first of all, he had 2 of his previous relationships, women he had relationships with who testified, Winona Ryder and Vanessa Paradis, and they both said that when they were in relationships with him, that he wasn't abusive. I think the fact that there was just one person, one judge, making a decision, I don't know that the judge really took things into consideration appropriately. Plus, Johnny has tried to appeal twice. and that he wasn't allowed to appeal. He wasn't allowed to have a new trial. So, they said that the judge made the proper ruling, or he had enough evidence, or something like that. And it just seems like I don't know, that there was that, and they were mainly basing it all on Amber Heard. Absolutely,
Chris, the uniqueness of this is now Johnny Depp's been through this once already. It was overseas, but he has testified. This isn't really a. Would you consider this a sequel, or was that the dress rehearsal? How would you kind of look at having to do this now a second time?
Well, Vinny, it's a great point, and we've seen when we've had to do retrials that they come out differently. People testify. You do get some training when you have trial one and go into trial two. Johnny was a great witness, I thought, based on accounts from the English case. He was confronted. He's saying, do you have an anger management problem because you got angry this one day? And he had a great comeback. He says, well, sometimes I burst out in laughter, and it doesn't mean I have a humor problem. So he's very quick. He's charming. So yes, he's been through it. He's taken some lumps. I got to think that they learned a lot from that case, and they're going to retool. And I agree with what Dominic was saying and Carol about maybe cleaning up a little bit. I mean, it's not him, but as lawyers, we like to control stuff. When, with criminal defendants, we get them out of the jail blues and we put them into a suit. It's a little bit harder when you got a celebrity to say, hey, maybe you want to change your hair a little bit. It's a hard one, but as lawyers, we should be having that conversation with our clients, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, but Dr. Lieberman, wouldn't the jury see through that a little bit? Because when criminal defendants in trials we cover clean themselves up, the jury doesn't know who they are, so they don't know what they looked like when they committed the murder, unless there's a video of it, right? But everyone knows kind of what Johnny Depp is like. That's why I'm torn on this issue of cleaning him up.
Well, I mean, not that he should come in, looking like with a military haircut, looking like that, but with his hair like, swirling all around, and his mustache and so on, he looks a little bit like a wild man. So you could kind of picture some of the things that Amber is trying to say, how she's trying to make him look. That's the only thing. I mean, yes, you don't want to make it fake, because that would, the jury would be, I think if they knew what he looked like before, they would be a little surprised and maybe a little put off. But just a little less wild,
Yeah, well, he's got the Harry Potter glasses, makes him look a little more studious. All right, Chris, Dr. Carol Lieberman staying with us. When we come back, let's talk about this. You know who's on the witness list? Elon Musk. And apparently, according to Johnny Depp, there's allegations that Elon Musk was with Amber Heard shortly after she married Johnny Depp. More details when we return.
Ins.com.
Mr. Burge, do you know who Elon Musk is?
Sure.
Have you ever seen Mr. Musk in person?
Yeah.
Where did you see him in person?
First time was I'm getting into the elevator on the rooftop, penthouse level. I'm going into the elevator, and he's coming out of the elevator, going past me.
And when did that take place?
This is after May. This is sometime June, it could be July, but after May.
In that same year, 2016?
Yeah.
Johnny Depp's friend, Isaac Baruch, talking about Elon Musk being in the penthouse, and he's on the witness list in this case. Also big in the news, right? Everyone's talking about Elon Musk, trying to perhaps have a hostile takeover of Twitter and buy it, the world's richest man. But he is on the witness list, and Johnny Depp's friend, Isaac Baruch, testified about him. Let's listen to a little bit more.
And when was the second time that you saw Mr. Musk?
One morning waking up and going and opening up the shades to the bedroom, and it's on the second floor, and it overlooks the balconies, our adjoining balconies, because my balcony joins with John and Amber's balcony. And that opening up the shades, I see Elon Musk going through the balcony door on their side to then walk down a common corridor to that then at the end leads to a door that you walk out to the rest of the rooftop. And you go to the pool, you go to the gym and stuff. So I'm looking out, and the view out the window is of both of our balconies. So that's where I saw him.
And when was that?
Oh, sometimes it's either June, July, but it's after May.
And when he says after May, that's after like the split between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Let's bring back in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who's in Fairfax County, Virginia tonight. But the allegations from Johnny Depp's side is that this relationship, or alleged relationship, whatever it was, happened before the breakup.
Yeah, way before the breakup. In fact, less than a month after Amber Heard and Johnny Depp were married, Johnny Depp alleges that she began an affair with Elon Musk. This continued throughout the relationship, according to Johnny Depp. Now, interesting, Vinny, you know, I've read through the court documents. There's a declaration by the concierge of the Eastern Columbia building where these penthouses were, and this concierge says that Elon Musk was a frequent visitor to Amber Heard at the penthouse when Johnny Depp was out of town. So much so that Amber Heard allegedly gave Elon Musk a key fob to get into the building freely whenever he wanted. So the allegations coming from Johnny Depp, of course, being that they were having an affair, but also key, and we've heard this mentioned, there's text messages between Elon Musk and Amber Heard. He is on her witness list, not Johnny Depp's witness list, Vinny, on Amber Heard's witness list, obviously to contend that they were not having an affair. That's what she alleges. But these text messages go to her wanting this restraining order against Johnny Depp in 2016. So she's hoping those maybe work in her favor. She allegedly, or he offers 24/7 security for her to go to her contention that she was in fear. She was the victim in this case. So that's what we know. And don't expect Elon Musk to walk into the courthouse behind me. He would be called if he is called in her case by video link, WebEx link, Vinny.
Yeah, he could be in outer space testifying. He could be anywhere, right?
Right.
Exactly. All right. By the way, we've got some good news. We've got Nick Wallace, who's joining us now. We're able to connect with him from down in Fairfax County, Virginia. Great to see you again, Nick. Let me start first.
Hey there, Vinny.
In the UK trial, did Elon Musk, was he any part of it?
He was mentioned a couple of times, particularly in Mr. Depp's opening statement. He went to great lengths to, basically go over the same evidence that you've just heard. The court documentation says one of the concierges for their apartment building will testify that in March 2015, while Mr. Depp was away, Ms. Heard would be visited late at night by Mr. Musk, and so frequently that he was given his own key to their penthouse. So as you can see, they are repeating the allegations that were made in the UK libel trial in 2020. However, I just want to read out a section of the judgment from that libel trial, which of course Mr. Depp lost. The judge, Mr. Justice Nichols, says, "It is no part of my function to decide whether Mr. Depp was having an affair with Rochelle any more than it is my function to decide whether Ms. Heard had affairs with James Franco, Billy Bob Thornton, Elon Musk, or anyone else. Even if she had been unfaithful in this sense, it could not begin to excuse the use of violence in consequence." To be fair to Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, neither suggested that it could. And that was how Elon Musk was dealt with in the 2020 judgment. And of course, this is a libel trial. This is about what Amber Musk wrote in the Washington Post. Amber Heard wrote in the Washington Post, not whether or not she was having an affair with Elon Musk. And just on the point of whether or not he will be testifying, one of my sources is very down on that idea. They don't think that Elon Musk can be compelled to testify. He hasn't given a video deposition. So unless things change and he decides that he will testify on Amber Heard's behalf, he can't be compelled to by the court.
That's interesting. We'll see if he wants to come help. He wanted to provide security for her, apparently. Maybe he'll want to help her in the case. Let me ask you, Nick, while we have you, Johnny Depp, when he testified in the UK, can you paint the picture for us? How was he on the stand? Was he a movie character? Was he real? How did he come across?
Well, he describes himself in court documents as a Southern gentleman, and he was cross-examined on that point by the Sun newspaper's QC, Sasha Wass, who made much play of the fact that he did use that characterization, and yet she then went on to make lots of very serious allegations about him. In person, he was charming. He was present in the room. He was on point. He was charismatic. He was articulate. He was funny at times. The judge asked him if he'd like to take a break towards the end of a long day, and he said, I would do a Snoopy dance to get out of this witness box. To which the judge said, "Does that mean you would like to?" And so he did make jokes from times, and he had a very easy manner around him. He was incredibly polite and courteous to the court ushers, the staff who let him into the courtroom, etc. And so there was no sign of this drug-fueled monster that he was being painted at, though, of course, we did see videos and we did hear audio recordings of him in alternative states of consciousness, I think is a polite way of putting it.
One follow-up. He describes himself as a Southern gentleman. Virginia is pretty close. It's below the Mason-Dixon line, so it's it's in the South, so to speak. His accent, how would you describe it? And when he's speaking in court, does he sound American to you?
Look, I'm British, so all he sounds to me is American. I mean, I can tell Isaac Baruch is from Brooklyn, but I have a great difficulty differentiating between most of the other accents in the US.
Because he almost sounds to us like he's
American to me.
But to us, when I've heard him speak, and he doesn't speak a lot and not so loud, he almost sounds like he has a little bit of a European English type accent. To me.
Well, he spends so much time in Europe now, doesn't he? So it's not surprising that he will have picked it up. And of course, you can imagine how actors soak up accents very clearly. But when he was in the rather staid and fusty environment of a British courtroom, and you have all these clips, received pronunciation type voices pinging around him, he did come across as very American.
All right. Nick, thanks so much. I'm glad we connected. I'm going to bring in Dr. Carol Lieberman and Chris Melcher for some final words tonight. I want to go back to the Elon Musk issue. What do you think, Chris? Does Elon Musk make an appearance, whether it's via WebEx or however, to come to support Amber Heard? And how much of an impact would the world's richest man have on this jury?
I can't imagine why he would want to have any part of this. I think there's a difference between offering Paramore some security when he's in a dating relationship with her, if that's what happened, versus after the fact, coming in and testifying, this would not help him. So I don't know why he would want to do it. And generally, you can't compel a non-resident to come testify in a state trial. So he may be outside the subpoena power of the court. But if he did come to help, it would be significant because she would only call him if he had something helpful to say. And it would be about her fear. And all she really has to show is that she was in an abusive relationship. However, the jury thinks, and we have a broad definition of abuse, not just physical violence, but the jury thinks she was in an abusive relationship, then that makes her op-ed piece true, and that means he loses the defamation trial.
Dr. Carol Lieberman, we only have about 20 seconds left here, unfortunately, but your thoughts about the impact if James Franco, Elon Musk, did I hear Billy Bob Thornton? I can't imagine him testifying, but what are your thoughts there?
Well, I think Elon Musk has bigger fish to fry than to, come and testify on her behalf. I don't think that it would help him in any way, but I do think that he could have an impact on the jury. They would think that the richest man in the world is coming and saying something on her behalf. But, the Snoopy dance, that's the kind of thing. It's very I lived in London for a while, and it's very different. That kind of thing, we would laugh about it, but the judge wouldn't have found that too funny. He might have found that a little disrespectful. So that could have contributed to the judge's decision.
All right. Dr. Carol Lieberman, Chris Melcher, great to have you with us on this Friday night. Thank you so much. Again, our thanks to Nick Wallace joining us as well. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the nice folks I met in Fairfax tonight. jury, very young like you. Do you think young people know Johnny Depp? Do you think they know Amber Heard?
I mean, I think we all know Johnny Depp.
I was very surprised to hear that they were coming to Fairfax. Being outside D.C., I would have expected them to be more towards the Capitol.
So the fact that this big trial is taking place next door, does that pique your interest? Like, hey, maybe I want to walk over to the courthouse and see what's going on?
Honestly, knowing that he's nearby is making my heart beat a lot faster now.
Honestly, I find it really hard because I've seen evidence on both sides that look not good for either of them.
I mean, obviously, I think that it's very important for women to stick together and for women to support. If we're saying that there's abuse going on, I think that we need to give leniency and we need to make space for that argument to come out. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know that anybody does.
A lot of smart people in that coffee shop, by the way, just one block over from the courthouse. Young, like this jury. Okay, let's bring back in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter at the courthouse. Chanley, we had some news today, some drama involving who's allowed in, who's allowed out of the courtroom.
Yeah, that's right. I was checking the court file and an order popped up banning one of Amber Heard's friends from the courtroom for the duration of this trial, Vinnie. Her name is Eve Barlow, and we've even spotted her on our Court TV cameras inside the courtroom. Looks like she's a part of Amber Heard's lawyer, her attorney's teams, but that's her friend, Eve Barlow, who sat on the first row of the gallery behind counsel tables there throughout the trial until yesterday. And I was sitting inside the courtroom yesterday afternoon, Vinnie, and I noticed that after a sidebar, the lead attorneys on both sides went to their first row and had their first row move to the back of the gallery for some reason. And I heard, electronics and cell phones mentioned during that conversation. And then a little while later, as the deposition testimony continued to be played in the courtroom, there were a couple of bailiffs who came and got Eve from the back of the courtroom and escorted her out. So it seems as though she was not following or complying with the judge's orders, either with electronics or passing notes to Amber Heard's team, because only the attorneys are allowed to have laptops and phones inside that courtroom, as you well know, Vinnie.
Absolutely. I mean, I left my phone over at the live shot, walked in, made sure I didn't have anything with me. I don't want to be that guy. You never want to be that guy. All right. Someone else, though, was dismissed from court from the witness stand, Gina Deuters. Can you give us some more information about that? Because that was another interesting development this week.
It really was. She was testifying for Johnny Depp, detailing a lot of details about Amber Heard and her interactions with Amber Heard and drug use, which was going to be an interesting testimony. But there was, again, another sidebar, and the judge dismissed her because she had been watching testimony throughout the week. Another person breaking the judge's rules, Vinnie, and so her entire testimony was stricken from the record. And so today, she actually posted, or actually reshared a story on her official Instagram page, #Amin2, and she was thanking her friend for her support and the breathing tips and battling intimidation tactics. That is her reaction after she was dismissed. Now, I was in the courtroom when she left that witness stand. She was escorted out with who appeared to be her attorney. I tried to inquire with comment, but she had no comment, of course, after she was dismissed. But she seemed dejected, very disappointed, and all the Depp fans in the gallery, Vinnie, they felt this was a huge blow to Depp's case because she was an anticipated strong witness.
All right, Chanley, let me know when the temperature gets back above 72. So it's safe for me to come back to Fairfax, Virginia. It just looks a little chilly tonight out there.
It is, Vinnie. We can't wait for you to return.
All right, Chanley Painter, she'll be there throughout. Thank you so much. When we come back, we're going to bring in our think tank and take a look at it. Johnny Depp on the stand. How do they get the good stuff in? And then what is he going to have to face on cross-examination? In Fairfax, Virginia, movie star Johnny Depp in a bitter battle against his ex, Amber Heard. Johnny has sued Amber, claiming she lied to the world about being abused by Depp. Next week, there is a strong possibility Johnny Depp takes the stand to tell his story.
The ultimate A-list star, you have the best reputation amongst all the press. You know that?
Is that right?
Yeah, everyone loves dealing with you.
I had no idea.
And face cross-examination from Amber's legal team. Will the jury believe the words of this mega movie star?
Not guilty by reason of insanity.
Meanwhile, a shocking verdict and fallout in New Jersey as former Olympian Michael Barrasone is found not guilty by reason of insanity. What does this verdict mean? Was justice served?
That's not temporary insanity. That is a fraud. It's a ploy. It was a show, and he got away with it.
Buckle your seatbelts. This hour of closing arguments starts right now. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thanks so much for joining us here on Closing Arguments. And the big news that kind of like rumbled through Court TV today was information that we got from our great crew out in Fairfax County, Virginia at the courthouse. Chanley Painter reporting tonight, strong possibility next week is the week that Johnny Depp takes the stand in his trial against Amber Heard. And you think about what this case is about, right? Well, Johnny Depp's got millions of dollars, right? He's got millions of dollars. This case is about more than money. It's about Johnny Depp trying to regain that position he held. And you heard it in the open where, you know, the reporter said he's like the greatest guy to deal with, that the press loves him. People love him. You know, he's a great guy. Well, all of a sudden that reputation got completely tarnished because of the allegations by Amber Heard that he was in fact abusing her. And he says it's not true. Amber Heard says, yes, it is true. I'm a victim. I'm a survivor. Johnny Depp says, no, you're lying. You're out to get me. You want to ruin me. And Johnny Depp now claiming that he is partially ruined because of Amber Heard. So this trial is really for him. I don't want to cheapen it by saying it's about public relations, but it's about trying to get your reputation back and your place in that Hollywood community. So when the big executives are doing those big blockbuster movies, they're going to hire Johnny Depp. And he'll continue or start to get those big paydays again with those big blockbusters, which is not happening right now. He's still doing some films. He's shooting something overseas. I think he has a deal to do more of an art film than the big mega blockbusters, which are the big mega paydays. So, gonna take the witness stand. So, you know, there's two parts when you testify, right? There's the direct and there's the cross. On direct is where you kind of know what the questions are. Your attorney is controlling everything, and they're gonna make you look good. They're gonna make you look good. So I want you to take a listen to some of the witnesses already in Johnny Depp's case who have spoken fondly of Johnny Depp, laying the foundation for his testimony, which, again, strong possibility could be happening next week live here on Court TV. Take a look.
Did you have occasion to see your brother interact with his children?
Yes. Yes, I did.
What did you observe? What can you tell the jury about what you observed?
I'm proud to say, he's one of the most devoted fathers I think that I've ever seen.
He offered me a complete patronship.
So what did you understand he meant by becoming your patron?
Well, it was going to financially make it possible for me to just paint every day and put together a body of work so that way then it could be sold.
Did you take him up on that offer to live at the Eastern Columbia building?
Yeah, of course.
And how did that make you feel?
I started crying. You know, one day you're in your mother's garage selling paintings for $100, $200, $300 on eBay. Next thing you know, it's an art show, and like you don't have to worry about diddly squat. Of course. I was flipping out.
How do you feel about everything that Mr. Depp has done for you?
Oh, come on. It's unreal. It's, you think too much about it, you're going to cry. That I appreciate everything that he's done for me. It's like stuff you can't pay back.
What was your impression of Mr. Depp?
He was very peaceful, very calm, almost shy, and very quiet. And I remember he was wearing red suede shoes because I didn't know where else to look. I looked at his shoes. It was like a it's a weird recollection, I know, but I'm just being honest.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp be rude to anyone?
He's such a gentleman. He's like a total Southern gentleman. So no.
The relationship is not good. It's over pretty much, and he's trying to come to terms with it, and he still loves her, and is mourning. So he's a very articulate man, and when left alone to speak, he can describe intelligently what's going on.
Some pretty rave reviews there again, they're his witnesses, I get it, but still, it's coming from all different people, from her assistant, from their marriage counselor, from his friend from his teen years, and his sister, of course, as well. Let's bring in our think tank tonight. Joining us in New York City, former senior homicide prosecutor Bernarda Villalona. In San Diego, California, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Brian Watkins. Of course, you can contact him at brianwatkinslaw.com. Also in California, in Los Angeles, Deputy Public Defender for Los Angeles County, Philip Dubé is with us. Great to see everyone tonight. Bernarda, Johnny Depp on direct. I can imagine this is he's going to be a super charmer on that witness stand. Friendly questions. He'll be able to flash that smile, that wink, probably have some really good lines for this jury. Not rehearsed lines, but just things that kind of come out naturally.
Exactly. When it comes to a defendant, or actually in this case, well, he is a defendant too, testifying, is that doing direct, that's when the easy questions come to you. You know what questions are coming. You are prepared for what questions are coming. You are prepared for the order of the questionings coming, and you've gone through the questions possibly a couple of times with your attorney in preparation of your big day. What is telling in any case is not the direct. It's the cross-examination.
We'll get there.
How do you hold up?
We'll get there. We've got two segments. First one direct. Then when we come back, we'll do the cross. Because Bernarda, Brian, she just wants to cross-examine everyone. You notice that? And it usually begins with me. It usually begins with me.
That's how you get to the truth, is with the cross-examination.
Absolutely. Brian Watkins, here's another advantage here that Johnny Depp has in this trial. He's done it once before in the UK. He's had a dress rehearsal, or he had the first one. This is the sequel. So he knows what it's like to be on the witness stand, answering those questions. And the way he's been described, he was a charmer first time around in England.
But he wants to be careful. You don't want to pour it on too much where you get to be phony and you get, he's an actor. And I think the jury's going to say, hey, we're listening to an actor here, and he doesn't want to come off as an actor. He doesn't want to come off as though he's acting for the jury. So you can't pour it on too hard. We all know that, you can be a nice guy to your friends and coworkers. That doesn't necessarily mean that's how you are at home, and everybody has a side to them where they can be angry and frustrated and upset. If he pours it on so much that this guy is Santa Claus, or, reincarnated, I think he's going to lose credibility by pouring it on too much.
Well, maybe not Santa, maybe Willy Wonka. Maybe not Santa.
Okay.
Philip Dubé, you're in LA. You're hanging out with celebrities night after night out there. I want you to take a listen to some testimony from Amber Heard's former assistant, right? Not Johnny's former assistant, but hers. And let's pay close attention to Johnny Depp's reaction to all of this. Let's watch.
Did Mr. Depp ever interact with your son?
Yes, he was very kind.
How often did Mr. Depp interact with your son?
Whenever they were in each other's presence.
Can you give me an estimate of how often that happened?
Oh, countless times. He would even teach him how to play guitar. He brought him back on vacations. He showed him his amazing makeup makeover when he was doing Black Mass. He tricked him. He leant over and was saying, "Do you know who I am?" Like the full makeup on his son's jaw almost hit the ground. It was really cute, actually.
That little smile, Philip Dubé, you know, it creeps up a lot inside that courtroom because there have been moments like that where it's not inappropriate but very appropriate. What are your thoughts about Johnny Depp on direct telling his story? Because I think that's why what this trial is about. You know, just giving him an opportunity to tell his story to America, to the world, and to the folks out in Hollywood.
He's going to do whatever he can to regain his good name, his character, and his reputation. And he's laying the foundation for that by putting on a parade of witnesses who testified that they have never seen an act of aggression coming out of him towards a female, towards Amber, and of course, towards her assistant's child. Because trust me, Vinnie and Think Tank, nobody lets a batterer hang with their kid. If she thought for 1 minute that he was a danger, there would be no way that she would let him spend any time with that child. So he's coming off as being a very loyal, very generous, very kind person. And obviously there are going to be sides of him that come out that show he's also a very brittle man, as evidenced by his past drug history. He had a really bad bout with polysubstance abuse. There may have been a mental health component, but certainly that's not what defined him, and it's certainly not why he is suing. He is not suing anybody for accusing him of being an addict. He's trying to clear his good name that he is not a wife beater.
Bernarda, so there's a jury of young men. And I keep saying this because it's just stuck in my mind here. When I walked into that courtroom and saw the jury for the first time, my jaw dropped because I've seen so many juries, and there's always a little bit of a mixture. But, I mean, they're young. They're in their 20s. And that's going to be the majority of this 7-person jury. There's 11 of them now. 4, obviously, will be alternates. But it's young and it's male. Johnny Depp in front of young males. What are your thoughts there about that dynamic? Do you think they can somehow relate to him? Or do you think that they're going to be relating more to Amber Heard, who is also in that courtroom?
Well, Vinnie, I'm not sure whether those jurors relate to either one of them because either one of them are not even from that state. Remember, we just ended up with a lawsuit in that state. That's why I find it so interesting that we're putting on a case in front of people that neither party has ever had any contact or even lived in that state to even find out. What's the lay of the land? How do people think out here? So I really hope that the attorneys in this case, when they selected that jury, that they had a jury consultant or at least someone who is some kind of an expert in selecting the jury. Because in the end, the case that's being put on is not for the judge. It's not for us in Court TV. It's not for the public. It's for those 7 people that are sitting in that jury box that are going to make the determination at the end of the day.
Brian, do you think he can win without winning the lawsuit?
Yeah, I can. I do think he can. I mean, I think that the court of public opinion is also judging, and that's really who he's trying this case for. He doesn't need $50 million more, and that's not what this is about. This is about clearing his name. And if the court of public opinion says that I heard the evidence and I'm Johnny Depp is a good guy in my book, then he wins, regardless of whether or not there's a check written to him for $50 million.
Philip, you're in L.A. I think that audience is also very important to him because those are the folks who make the decisions about who gets the roles in these movies and these sequels and everything else. Do you think they're paying attention to all of this?
Oh, they sure are. In the times of Me Too, let me just tell you, Vinnie, nobody wants to invest in a batterer. We live in a time of cancel culture, and the last thing Hollywood wants to do is cast somebody who sued for defamation based on domestic violence, where it backfires and it turns out he is in fact the batterer. That is taboo in Hollywood. You don't ever want to be branded a batterer. It is the wrong side of history for that. On another note, you know, as eloquent and articulate and as charming as he is, he has some childlike qualities. Like, you know, he's sitting in court chewing gum, he fluffs his hair, he moves around in his chair. He needs someone to stage him a little bit and block him a little bit as if he's on a set so that he looks like he's taking the proceedings pretty seriously. But assuming he gets through all that and he tells the truth and the jury buys him, oh, I think this is just the beginning of a fantastic rebirth, a renaissance for him.
You know, there's been a lot of talk about the way he appears. When he has the glasses on, and he is paying attention. I mean, when I was in that courtroom, he was, you know, I'm seeing the back of him, but very focused, turning to his attorneys every once in a while when he hears something. But when he puts on those glasses, Bernarda, it's like he looks serious. Do you think he should wear them on the witness stand? Should he go without the, because it's two completely different looks when you see him with the glasses and without.
Well, he needs to be consistent with his look at this point. We don't want to be changing up his look mid-trial. And you got to think that this is going to be a different trial in the sense of guess who's going to be there while he's testifying the entire time? It's going to be Amber Heard. And there's going to be other people in the courtroom. So this is going to be a completely different environment. But Vinny, I just got to touch on what Brian said. I have to agree with Brian, and we rarely ever agree on anything in this show because I think you're need learning, to Bernarda, define.
You're learning.
Don't get too big up on your head, Brian. I think what it is, we need to define what is a win. Are we talking about a win in the sense that either party is going to prevail in the sense of money? Or is it a win in the sense of public opinion? And I honestly think this entire trial is about winning in public opinion and not about who's going to win in terms of money in terms at the end of this trial.
All right, when we come back, we will satisfy Bernarda. We will talk about cross-examination, and we're going to take a look at some things that we know are out there that he's going to have to address, he's going to have to answer about. That is next, because that's a big, big part of getting to the truth of what happened.
happened? Nothing happened this morning, you know that?
Were you in here?
No.
So then nothing happened to you this morning?
Yeah, you're right. I just woke up and you were so sweet and nice. We were not even fighting this morning. All I did was say sorry.
Did something happen to you this morning? I don't think so.
No, that's the thing.
You want to see crazy? I'll give you Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
Oh, you got this. You got this going?
Just started it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
That was Amber Heard recording Johnny Depp when they were alone, and you saw things got a little dicey, to say the least, there at the end. That's one of the things that Johnny Depp's going to have to deal with when it's time for cross-examination. I mean, there is some ammo that the defense has in going after Johnny Depp, because remember, truth is a defense. So they're going to try to prove that he is someone who abused Amber Heard. I want to go through some of the other testimony from witnesses we've heard already, witnesses that were called or presented by Johnny Depp and his team, because there is some testimony that they provided that's not necessarily that great for Johnny Depp. Take a listen.
Did you ever reach your own conclusion that your brother had a problem with drugs and alcohol?
I knew my brother was drinking.
I'm sorry.
I knew my brother was drinking. But in terms of like drugs, honestly, I had only one medication that I really knew of that, was an issue for him.
There was violence from Mr. Depp toward Amber, correct?
Yes, you're right. He had been well controlled, I think, for almost, 20, 30 years. And both were victims of abuse in their homes. But I thought he had been well controlled for decades. And then with Ms. Heard, he was triggered, and they engaged in what I saw as mutual abuse.
Mr. Depp told you Amber gave as good as she got, correct?
Correct.
What drugs is it showing Mr. Depp was positive for?
It shows cocaine, benzodiazepine, cannabinoids, and amphetamines.
What did Mr. Depp tell you about his mood swings?
That he had evanescent changes in his mood from good to bad.
The patient expressed fears of never feeling normal without his drugs. See that?
I see that.
Was that? Did Mr. Depp ever express that to you?
Yes, in some form he discussed that with me.
All right, that's some of what we've heard already. Let's bring back in our think tank, Bernardo Villalona, Brian Watkins, Philip Dubé. Brian, I'll start with you. Is there a lot of fuel here, a lot of ammo for the defense on cross?
There is, his drinking and drug problem is a big problem for Johnny Depp. Why? Because, yeah, he's a great guy. He's great with Fred's kids. He's generous with his money. He's a charming guy. But the problem is drugs and alcohol make you who you're not. I mean, we're on this show all the time, and people's defense are, oh, the crime, yeah, I committed it, but I was under the influence of drugs and alcohol. That wasn't me. I'm sorry. And so if he is under the influence of drugs and alcohol often, then he's not himself being that charming guy that they just put on evidence of. And so that is going to hurt his case, And, one of the other key things about the defense in this case is that Amber has a good leg to stand on because this is a civil case for slander, which means she spoke some words that weren't true. But her allegations are that he was abusive. Now, what does that word abusive mean? In her mind, that's a very subjective word. Did he yell at her? Oh, I call that abuse. Did he grab my arm and lead me somewhere one time? Oh, I call that abuse. And so these are very subjective terms, and whether or not she lied is going to be tough for Johnny Depp to prove. They're going to say, she felt that she was abused. I don't maybe think he's an abuser, but she felt that she was abused. So her statements are true enough that she would survive the slander lawsuit.
Philip Dubé, what do you think the tone will be of this cross-examination by the attorneys? Will it be attack mode?
Yes, they're going to try to make Johnny out to be the initial aggressor, because ultimately that's the key. If his defense...
So do they try to get him angry on the stand? Is that part of the goal?
Of course. They want to see him react, and they want to get him to admit it, that once in a while he was the one who kind of, threw a punch or slapped her. But what I find fascinating about, first of all, what kind of a girlfriend starts activating a camera at home? It looks like they're trying, like she was trying to set him up, frankly. And you notice that when the initial aggression starts, the camera is moved. So you don't really see who's starting anything. All you hear is some tussling and some movement about, but you don't know who actually started it. And there's no concrete proof. So ultimately what you have is a he said, she said. Now, short of an admission or actual footage of him doing it, all you really have is circumstantial evidence for a jury to weigh.
Bernarda, can Johnny Depp win that battle inside the courtroom when he is being cross-examined? We have seen it. Sometimes witnesses win the moment. Sometimes the attorneys win the moment. What are your thoughts?
It's possible for Johnny Depp to win that battle under cross-examination. This is the reasons why. It's because during the opening statements, the attorneys already laid out a lot of the ugly. We now have seen through the witnesses some of the ugly. Yes, he drinks a lot of alcohol, used to drink a lot of alcohol. He was on medication before. He was on illegal drugs before. So none of that should come as a surprise. They laid that out for you. Now the question is whether he was ever abusive to Ms. Heard. And I think once you have all the ugly already out there, that's not going to catch the jury by surprise. You can focus more on what the issues are. However, my question will be, because remember, the therapist testified in this case. And for me, she was the most credible witness. And why? Because both parties were going to the therapist. And this therapist said that they were mutually abusive to each other. What is the jury going to do with that? Because honestly, both parties were talking to a therapist, not looking to lie to the therapist, but trying to find a solution to a situation that just wasn't ideal for both of them.
All right. It's going to be, again, a big moment. Johnny Depp, we believe he is going to testify and take the stand next week. Okay, Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, what a moment on Court TV, a very rare moment in a trial out of New Jersey involving a former Olympian. Reminded me a lot of a case from years ago. The comparison to the man you see on the left, do you recognize him? And the man you see on the right. Okay, we've got some dated video we're showing you right now. Do you recognize this man? Does he ring a bell to you? Does he look familiar? He's walking on some hospital grounds. Okay, if you don't recognize him now, I'm going to show you another video. Maybe this will help refresh your recollection as to who this man is. Let's take a look at the next video. Do you remember this moment? That is President Ronald Reagan being shot. An attempted assassination, the shooting of 3 others. John Hinckley is the name of the man responsible. You see him get caught there. Shot President Reagan, 3 other men. Was found not guilty by reason of insanity. So what exactly is John Hinckley doing these days? Well, he's free. But it's not free if you want to see him play guitar. Take a look.
You're in my dreams most every night. You're still looking fine. High up on a pedestal. I'm so glad you're mine. Life here on earth is black and white. The sun's not out today. I will wait until the night to wash my blues away.
He tried to kill the president. Shot 3 other people. And found not guilty by reason of insanity. No longer a danger to himself or others. So he's free. And people are buying tickets to his concert. By the way, the Reagan Foundation and Institute has a message about all of this that they posted. Both saddened and concerned that John Hinckley Jr. will soon be unconditionally released and intends to pursue a music career for profit. Mr. Hinckley is the man responsible for the attempted assassination of President Reagan and the shooting of 3 other brave men, one who eventually died of his injuries years later. We strongly oppose his release into society where he apparently seeks to make profit from his infamy. That's the reality of what happened. And believe it or not, something similar just happened this week. You saw it here on Court TV. A former Olympic athlete in New Jersey shot 2 people. They survived, shot 2 people, but the jury came back with the verdict. Here it is.
Is that verdict unanimous?
It is.
Right. With regard to count 1, attempted murder of Lauren Canarak, what is your verdict?
Not guilty by reason of insanity.
With regard to count 2, attempted murder of Robert Goodwin, what is your verdict, sir?
Not guilty.
With regard to count 2, the lesser included offense of aggravated assault upon Robert Goodwin, what is your verdict?
Not guilty.
On count 3, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose to use against the person of Lauren Canarak, what is your verdict?
Not guilty by reason of insanity.
And with regard to count 4, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, what is your verdict?
Not guilty.
Very good. You may be seated, Mr. Foreman. Thank you. All right, members of the jury, you have heard the verdict as reported by your foreperson. And I will now have a polling of each of you individually. And the verdict as read by your foreman is as follows. On count 1, attempted murder, not guilty by reason of insanity. On count 2, attempted murder, not guilty. On the lesser included offense, aggravated assault, not guilty. On count 3, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose with regard to Lauren Canarak, not guilty by reason of insanity. And finally, on count 4, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose regarding Robert Goodwin, not guilty.
Wow. That doesn't happen, okay? Since John Hinckley was found not guilty by reason of insanity. People who go to trial and claim it, I mean, it just doesn't work. In my career at Court TV, covering these trials around the country, I've seen it twice. Andrea Yates and another mother out of Texas, both of whom killed their children. And, you know, there was testimony that they were getting a sign from God. That was how they were going to save their children. That wasn't necessarily the case here, but that was the verdict of the jury. Let's bring back in our think tank Bernardo Villalona, Brian Watkins, Philip Dubé. Okay, two things I laid out for you here, Philip. Which is more surprising to you? People are buying tickets to see John Hinckley play guitar, or a jury coming back in 2022 with a not guilty by reason of insanity verdict?
Well, they're equally surprising, I got to tell you. And by the way, Vinny, just so viewers understand, he's not going home. This is what we call a conditional acquittal, okay? He's going to a state hospital, basically, okay? So yes, he's been exonerated and he's what we call an acquittee under the law, but he's going to be held at the state level until there is solid evidence that he no longer poses a danger. And don't think for 1 minute that they're just going to cut him loose once they get him on a, you know, an anti-anxiety or a mood stabilizer. They're going to have to monitor him for quite a while.
Philip, I will tell you this, because one of my first jobs in the prosecutor's office in New Jersey was handling all the people who had been found or deemed not guilty by reason of insanity. In New Jersey, we called them Kroll patients. We didn't call them defendants, we called them patients. And I'm telling you, those doctors who are treating these patients, every time they come into court and they tell the judge how well the patient is doing. There's a built-in conflict of interest in these cases, because if the treating doctor comes in and says, my treatment's not working, what doctor is going to come in and say that? They all come in and say the treatment is working, and they always ask as experts and testify under oath that this patient should have more freedom. Every time. They never say less freedom. They always say more freedom, more freedom. And it starts from, okay, they're in a state institution. Then all of a sudden, oh, they get some trips home for the weekend. All of a sudden, they're an outpatient. They just have to get, and then eventually they get released. They just get released. They do. It happened with John Hinckley. Someday it may happen with Barrisone, but you know, I get what you're saying. He's not going home yet. But those doctors, Bernarda, every time I was in the courtroom, every single time they said, the patient is responding well to treatment, Your Honor. We should give him or her more freedom. Every single time, regardless of what the underlying offense was.
Look, Vinny, I'm not surprised at the verdict. I'm not surprised at the verdict, though. I have to say that. Brian, you can vouch for me for last week. I called it that they're going to find him not guilty by reason of insanity. And the reason I called it was because of the battle of the experts. When the defense went and called a mental health expert, a doctor, who the district attorney's office has used on numerous occasions.
Are you talking about Dr. Simmering?
Yes, Dr. Simmering. The defense called him.
Yeah, of course.
The defense called him, but usually, Vinny, what happens that when you have a very well-respected doctor and you know that a defendant is going to a well-respected doctor, one that the DA's office has used on numerous occasions, sometimes, the majority of times, the DA's office is like, I'm going to go with the findings of such and such doctor because we know such and such doctor cannot be bought because such and such doctor is one that we have used the majority of times in our trial. So I think that was a huge hit for this jury, for them to hear from such a doctor who came off credible, more credible than the prosecutor doctor. And let's not forget that the alleged victims in these cases were not likable.
Right, they were not likable. But Dr. Simmering, I've used him as an expert myself. Our prosecutor's office used him. I used him when I was in private practice. And Brian Watkins, what he does is he says, listen, I'm not promising you anything. I'm going to evaluate the defendant or the patient, and I'm going to give you an honest assessment. That's why he is so good at what he does, because he's 100% honest when he testifies, Brian.
Yeah, no, and that's an unbiased opinion that a jury really accepted and really, hung their hat on, apparently. The problem that I have with this case is that there wasn't a huge history of mental instability or acts of insanity. He did what an angry person would do. And that's what's funny to me, that he walked on insanity, because he did exactly what an angry person would do. And now, he was insane for that moment, but we don't have any other crazy acts of insanity that he did. With Bob Hinkie, there was multiple acts before shooting President Reagan that people were like, oh yeah, the guy has problems, we need to institutionalize him. And then he shot, the icing on the cake was him shooting Ronald Reagan. But we don't have that here, and that's what's really funny to me.
Yeah, well, we'll see, and we'll keep an eye on it. We'll let you know what happens with Barrisone. We shall see. All right, Bernardo Villolone and Brian Watkins, Philip Dubé coming back. We've got one more segment to go. Who had a better week down in Fairfax County, Virginia? Was it Johnny Depp or Amber Heard? Your verdict next.
Or visit us online.
You were telling your brother, Johnny Depp, to stop using cocaine, correct?
No, I wrote those words, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know that I was telling him to stop doing that.
Amber turns to me and she says, Johnny came by last night. He got violent. I say to Amber as I'm walking up, he hit you?
I specifically remember standing in her office where she leapt up out of her chair, put her face approximately 4 inches from my face. She was spitting in my face.
Have you been watching the trial this past week?
I've seen clips of it online, yeah.
All right, you're excused, ma'am. You can have your excuse.
What a week in Fairfax, Virginia. But who had a better week, Johnny Depp or Amber Heard? 13th juror question. Our comment of the day comes from Donna, who said Johnny had a better week. But Amber's side will be up to tell her side. We will see then who has a better side once we hear all. I tend to believe Johnny. I feel he always tried to diffuse the arguments by walking away, and she did not like that at all. And if he did hit her, it was in self-defense. A person can only take so much. I've seen a few of Johnny Depp's movies. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I do like him. All right, Bernarda, who had a better week?
Johnny Depp. But then again, he is the moving party. He did bring this lawsuit, so he gets to tell the tale that he wants to tell in the light that he wants to tell it when he's putting his case forward. But we are just at the beginning, guys.
All right, Kim, tonight Johnny had the best week. Of course, Amber's turn is coming soon. Brian Watkins, do you agree Johnny's off to a good start?
He started out ahead in the game for 2 reasons. One, he filed the lawsuit, and people think a person who's a batterer is just lucky not to get arrested and go to jail. He wouldn't turn around and be so angry to spend money and file a lawsuit. And Amber starts off behind because who did she tell all this abuse to? To the police? No, she told it to a magazine talking about I'm a victim to try to enhance her career possibly and telling it to an entertainment magazine. So Johnny Depp started out ahead. Problem is he loses the case because their own doctor said that he was abusive. And can she not repeat what the counselor said and say the same thing? She does have the right to say that. It's a slander civil case. She wins.
Kathy, tonight, they each had a person removed permanently from the court proceedings. Depp is ahead, and I totally believe that Heard will be exposed a liar. Philip Dubé, week 1.
I got to tell you, I think Depp is ahead, but let's be clear here. Amber's going to come in swinging because let's not forget what her defense is. Never mind, truth. She's going to be arguing the anti-SLAPP legislation, the anti-SLAPP law, which is strategic litigation against public participation, which means even if you lied, even if you spread falsities, your speech is protected. If you said it about a person in the public eye, it's a matter of public interest. The matter was, disseminated to people beyond the parties, and it is a hotly debated topic. So if that's the case, the law encourages discourse and discussion rather than liability for defamation. And I'm telling you, when the jurors go back into that deliberation room, there's going to be a big debate about the whole domestic violence topic. We'll just see.
Absolutely. Great job tonight. Philip Dubé, Brian Watkins, Bernardo Villalona, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll be right back.
.com.
Well, obviously, we just came back. We got a guilty verdict. You know, this was a tough case to try. We knew that there were obviously 3 possible outcomes here: guilty, not guilty, or a mistrial. The jurors of Pinellas County have spoken. We respect their decision. We thank the jurors for all their hard work on this case. We, thank the prosecutors for obviously, putting on the best case that they could. We fought hard as well, and the jurors have come up with their decision.
That is Teresa Jean-Pierre Coy, who has been a part of Court TV for the last 3 years. You've been seeing her first there. You saw her after the trial that she tried here on Court TV when we first relaunched the network. Take a look at her inside the courtroom doing her work. You'll recognize her there. I saw her in court and spoke with producer. I said, we need to get her on as a guest, and she became a regular. Tonight, we have such sad news to report that Teresa Jean-Pierre Coy passed away this week. She leaves behind a family that I want you to pray for tonight. If you could. She has a husband and a stepson, Travis, and a little 5-year-old boy. Good night.
At one time, a used tissue was just trash. Today, it's potential DNA evidence. New scientific discoveries are turning inconsequential items into vital pieces of forensic information. This is how an alert pathologist and a piece of cartilage made scientific history.